Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. Today, we're going to be highlighting the work of Michael Beardslee in this, our 11th episode. I am your host, Diana Catherine Plopa. Today, we're going to be hearing from Michael Beardslee. He is currently retired after 34 years of working in the auto insurance industry, with the majority of that time being spent as a field trainer. He has written 5 books, with his 6th on the way. He has lived in the state of Michigan his entire life. He currently resides in Brighton and West Branch with his wife, Terese Fitzpatrick, and Molly, their golden retriever. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm so glad you could be here.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Tonight, you're going to read from Bad Hombre, which is a creative nonfiction memoir. I wonder if you could tell me, what is your favorite part about writing in this style?
The favorite part is talking about some of the family things that went on along with band, along with athletics. Brings back good memories, brings back bad memories as well, and taking specific events and then putting them into writing. And I've been working on this casually since 1971, believe it or not. And finally put it down from spiral notebooks into computer language.
That is quite the project. Let's talk a little bit about the book. The story is loosely based upon Michael's senior year of high school, which took place during the 1969-1970 school year. While he is
long time ago.
Yeah. While he is many ages removed from those days, he still treasures the friends and great moments of that time. This book contains many factual moments of his life. He has also used some creative writing skills to allow the direction of the book to read how maybe he would have preferred as a 12th grader. So if your memory or research skills show that a certain athletic conference does not exist, or if a result of a high school band district festival is different than what history shows, then that is when you will find the imagination of Michael Beardslee running rampant. This book is written in journal style, and it begins in the later part of 1969 and runs through the end of September 1969. Thank you so much again, Michael, for joining us. And when you are ready, please read aloud.
Okay, here we go. August 1969, chapter name, How Indiana and Someplace in Canada. One evening, while after returning from a short 2-mile run, I walked through the garage door of our White Lake Road home and entered through the breakfast room, where I immediately spotted Mrs. Coop and Mrs. Rodenbow, the mothers of my best band buddies, Jim Coop and Terry Rodenbow, respectively, speaking with my mother. Other than Mrs. Rodenbow coming here to beg Katie, my sister, to go out on a date with her son, I could think of no really good reason why these two parents would be here at the same time. My first impulse was to ask the typical of me, smart, you know what kind of question, like, were the charges dropped? Or are you sending your sons to the same military school in Canada that Dave Fabry's parents banished him? However, there was a sense of seriousness that was consuming the room, and I thought better about asking any flippant questions. I was soon to find out that the purpose of this drop-in was more of an official visit versus a social call. Despite Katie and I being sworn to absolute silence by my mother's decision of us to leave Fenton area schools to attend the Heartland Consolidated Schools for the upcoming school year. And just for the record, my mother has never met a secret in her 55 years on the face of this earth that she could keep. Somehow word had leaked out, thus prompting this official type of visit from Mrs. Coop and Mrs. Rodenbow. While I was not a party to any actual discussion that took place, my mother eventually informed Katie and me for the purpose of this unexpected visit. First of all, Mrs. Coop and Mrs. Rodenbow wanted to verify the rumors that had been floated around the streets of Fenton about Katie and I not attending Fenton High School this year. My mother confirmed that these were not rumors, but fact. The second question from our guest was simply, why? My mother's response apparently went something like this. Since the school millage was soundly defeated for the third and final time in the most recent election, I decided I wanted what is best for my children. Under normal circumstances, it would be best for them to attend Fenton High School. However, the election results showed that these are not normal circumstances. Thus, Katie and Mike will instead be attending Heartland Consolidated Schools this school year. Translation: if the Fenton area school systems cannot provide the best educational environment for my children, then I will find a school system that will. Mrs. Rodenbow shook her head in agreement and said, I also want what's best for my boy Terry as well. I want him participating in band, plus being a member of the wrestling and baseball teams this school year. However, Mrs. Rodenbow has also made it very clear that her son will only be attending Heartland High School for his junior year and only his 11th grade year. This was similar to my mother's decision that Katie was only going to attend Heartland High School for her sophomore year. Mrs. Coop took an alternative approach to her older son's future education. While she knew Jim Coop enjoyed being in high school band with Terry Rodenbow and myself, she also knew her number one son well enough to know they enjoyed smoking cigarettes, flirting with girls, and giving teachers a tough time, even more than getting a quality education. Mrs. Coop felt that James William Coop II needed a fresh start, and this was cheaper than sending him to Howell Military Academy, located somewhere in the state of Indiana, which I suspect is an everyday threat in the life of this young man. And for the official record, this is the same military academy that my mother threatens me at least 75 times per day that I am in danger of attending. Her exact words were, you will look absolutely handsome in a button-down uniform with a broad stripe running down the side of each pant leg. Whenever Katie hears my mother use that uniform line on me, she squeals with laughter and says, yeah, Mike, you'll be wearing the same type of pants that Mingo wears on the Daniel Boone's TV show. Man, somewhere in the country of Canada, Dave Fabry is having a good laugh at my expense. Thus, it is officially decided that Jim Coop and Terry Rodenbow would join Katie and I as students of the Heartland Consolidated School System for the 1969-70 school year, which starts 6 days from now. And I readily admit I enthusiastically welcome their company, as there is safety in numbers. Chapter 4, E6. 5 more days to the start of the school year and the Labor Day weekend. One of only 2 holidays I truly enjoy in life is almost upon us. It also means that the start of the Detroit Lions football season is just around the corner, 3 weeks from this upcoming Sunday, but who's counting? Labor Day weekend means that my favorite season of the year. Fall is getting closer by the second. In fact, come to think of it, fall is the only season of the year that I actually like. However, with all those things to look forward to, probably the worst thing in the world could have happened to me today. Time out for a quick history lesson. During the summer of 1962, I was playing Little League Baseball as a member of the VFW Panthers. We were the equivalent of the 1962 New York Mets of Little League Baseball, as we went 1-15 that season. And I still have no idea to this day how the Lake Fenton Lakers lost to us. I've told this story so many times, I actually have come to believe that what I'm sharing with you actually happened. I was doing my imitation of Chico Fernandez, shortstop for the Detroit Tigers at the time, and pretending that I could actually play the shortstop position and field a ground ball that was hit directly to me. In my feeble little mind, I remember the ground ball hitting a rock that created a bad hop, which then caused the baseball to change direction, battering me smack dab in the mouth, breaking portions of my 2 front teeth. In reality, I was such a terrible fielding shortstop that I probably whipped at the ground ball, and that's what actually caused a bloody lip and some serious future dental work. I was thereafter regulated to the outfield, never played at infield position ever again in my 4 years of nondescript Little League Baseball, thus ending my chance to become a pro as fielding shortstop in the major leagues as Chico Fernandez and Don Budden, a Boston Red Sox shortstop, I bet you both those guys have vanity license plates on their motor vehicles that reads E6. As painful of physical injury as that was to me as a 9-year-old kid, it also turned out to be the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me in my life. Prior to this incident, my 2 front teeth were what you would politely call bucked. Those teeth would have guaranteed me a starring role on either TV series, Green Acres or Hee Haw, where my character's name would have been Buck Beardslee. Prior to this incident, my 2 front teeth were not what you would call aligned with my upper front teeth. Through my inability to feel the slow ground ball that was hit directly to me, I avoided having to wear braces on my teeth. However, from a dental standpoint, it was decided that when I reached the age of 15 or 16 years old, my current front teeth would have to be capped. The break in my 2 front teeth allowed me to continue to play the trumpet and avoid having to play another instrument with a bigger mouthpiece like the baritone or trombone. Ain't no way I was ever going to play the sousaphone. I can honestly say that the only thing in my life I'm halfway decent at is my ability to play the trumpet. Other than a unique skill to grab defensive rebounds, I'm an exceptional basketball player at best. While I enjoy running on the track team, I would class myself as an okay performer when running the 440 run and the occasional leg on the mile relay team. What I do best is play trumpet. There are a few things in my life I enjoy more than playing the trumpet. The only obsessions that come close, and they're a distant second, are reading the sporting news on a Saturday mornings and watching any television show that features Stephanie Powers. Please, 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 NBC, bring back the television show Girl from Uncle. Playing the trumpet is my identity. I just do not look forward to the day I set my trumpet back in the trumpet case and close that case for the very last time. In fact, I cannot even fathom that day ever occurring. I knew that eventually, instead of having 2 little spike teeth for my front teeth, that some form of permanent caps were going to have to be placed over them. I was advised by my mother that for my senior year, that I was finally going to have my 2 front teeth capped. This is mainly so that I could actually smile for my senior picture that will be appear in the high school yearbook. Well, that dreaded moment of actually starting to get my teeth capped was taking place today. I went to our family dentist, Dr. Alfred, this morning for phase 1 of my new front teeth. Temporary caps would be placed in my mouth, covering up the 2 little spikes that now pass my 2 front teeth. For the record, they're ugly to look at and certainly do not promote any kind of smiling. After getting a look at these temporary caps, I guess that they looked okay, but they made my mouth feel big and clumsy. This is not good for a trumpet player. Let's put it this way. No future professional symphony trumpet player wants to have big and clumsy front teeth. Well, I eagerly look forward to having 2 new front teeth. My gut instinct was that the temporary caps would affect my trumpet playing and not in a positive way. That was all I could think about while driving back from Flint to Fenton. I just wonder how many motor vehicle accidents I caused on southbound US 23 that day. As soon as I reached White Lake Road, I sprinted into the house, grabbed my trumpet, and dashed out to our barn. I did not want any witnesses to hear what was going to take place when I placed my lips to the mouthpiece of my trumpet, as this could be ugly. And hiding in the barn turned out to be a good decision on my part. My tone, if you could even call it that, was so feeble that it certainly did not meet Webster's dictionary, or as they used to say on the television show Laugh-In, you can look it up in your Funkin' Wagnall's dictionary definition for the word tone. When it comes to determining whether a trumpet player is any good or not, they must pass a 2-pronged test. The first prong of the test is the trumpet player's tone. Is the sound of their trumpet tone such that it would cause a person walking by to stop dead in their tracks and think to themselves, wow, they're good. The second prong of the test is whether that same bystander not only likes the trumpet player's tone, but can they clearly hear and distinguish each single note that the trumpet player is playing. Right now, I have no tone or even sound coming out of this trumpet because of these temporary caps. Thus, the second prong of the test is a major, major issue. I just cannot believe that I am washed up as a trumpet player at the age of 16 years. I left the barn and went back to the house in shock and incoherent about what had just taken place. I kept mumbling to myself, I can't play the trumpet anymore. I can't play the trumpet anymore. When I told my mother about this tragedy, she had the same sense of helplessness and sadness that was traveling through my entire body. A few minutes later, the two of us and our emotions started to settle down. My mother recommended that I go see Mr. Granderson, the band director at Heartland High School, my private lesson trumpet instructor since I was in 6th grade, to see if he had any miracles up his sleeve. My mother would immediately call Dr. Alfred himself to see what short-term ideas that he had to get me back to playing the trumpet again. Chapter 5, 3 options. After exiting US 23 on the Clyde Road, my panicked state of mind had me take an extremely sharp and dangerous curve on a dirt road at 25 miles per hour instead of 10 miles per hour, posted speed limit, scaring Katie half to death before we finally pulled into the Heartland High School parking lot. Once stepping out of my mother's car, I ran at my 56.9 flat quarter-mile pace, where I burst through the school's front entrance and continued running down the hallway to the band room. Luckily, Mr. Granderson was there in his office, where it appeared he was on the receiving end of a serious talking to from a parent. Mr. Granderson, I demand that we have a flag corps with the marching band this season. And furthermore, I want my daughter to be captain of this flag corps group. When Mr. Granderson spotted me, my body language must have tipped him off that I was in dire straits, as he immediately stopped paying attention to the parent, and whom I believed to be the daughter, that was being pushed to be the flag corps leader, and rapidly waved me into the office. The mother and young lady then got up and out without giving any type of goodbye, stomped right out of Mr. Granderson's office. Those two didn't even have the decency to stay and hear the depressing narrative of my poor teeth situation. Yeah, their loss. I gave Mr. Granderson the Reader's Digest condensed version of what was happening with my temporary caps. After listening to my frantic tale of despair and how life was going to end, he said, I've seen this take place before at my previous job at Beaverton High School. I had a trumpet player there by the name of John Cummings who had a similar problem as yours. I'm going to share with you the same 3 options I provided to him. First, you can play another brass instrument like he did. He wasn't half the trumpet player that you are. In fact, he was a mediocre trumpet player at best. His teeth were messed up to the extent that his mouth could not fit a trumpet mouthpiece enough to allow him to get much of a tone at all. Very similar to your current predicament. John Cummings did, however, become an outstanding baritone player. Also, to his credit, he became heavily involved in music theory, music arrangements, and marching band routines. In fact, when I left Beaverton High School to come to Heartland High School, the school board could not find a band director in time for the start of the school year. John Cummings stepped up and, in essence, was an acting band director. He prepared the football halftime shows until a new band director was hired. John Cummings then pursued a music career after graduating from Beaverton High School and is currently the low brass instructor at Central Michigan University. The second option for you, Beardslee, is if you do not want to play a low brass instrument, is to switch to playing in the percussion section, snare drum, timpani, etc. I about choked to death right on the spot when Mr. Granderson made that suggestion. There ain't no way I would ever consider playing a percussion instrument. Not even if April Dancer, the star of the former TV series Girl from Uncle, aka Stephanie Powers, promised me that she would travel all the way to the state of Michigan to watch me play the bass drum in a homecoming parade, and then go to the homecoming dance afterwards as my date. No, no way. However, let me retract a portion of that statement. There's one reason why I would even consider becoming a percussion player. And that is despite the good advice that my marching band compadre Jim Coop once gave me. His pearl of wisdom went something like this. No matter whatever happens in life, Beardslee, my good friend, always remember this. The really good-looking girls will always go out on dates with drummers before they would go out on a date with trumpet players. You know, maybe I shouldn't be too hasty in disregarding option number 2. The last option that Mr. Granderson provided for me was to simply go back to the dentist's office, have the dentist take the temporary caps off since they were there for nothing more than cosmetic purposes. Chances will be that the future permanent caps will be more fitted to your mouth and be less cumbersome. You have gone 7 years having 2 little spikes for front teeth. Another month probably won't hurt you. And after adjustment period with new caps, you will be back to your old trumpet playing self. Yeah, this means I can be Mike Beardslee again. Option number 3 it is. And I'll tell you what, this last choice certainly beats lugging around a baritone case, or even worse, carrying a bass drum during a marching band season or a Memorial Day parade with the latter temperature is a non-parade friendly 90 degrees outside. As Katie and I reached my home, my mother advised me that if I left now and went back to Dr. Alfred's office, he would take the temporary caps off and let me keep my spiked teeth for another 4 to 6 weeks when the permanent caps were installed. I got to admit, that's a big load off my mind. I was back to Flint, Michigan, and it took 2 seconds for Dr. Alfred to pop off the temporary caps. It was then off to Patterson's ice cream to celebrate the end of a stressful day with the world's best butterscotch ice cream cone. I had forgotten how much fun it was to eat a butterscotch ice cream cone with spiked teeth. It is now a little over 100 hours to the start of what actually might turn into an interesting school year.
Thank you
Chapter
very
6.
much. That was wonderful. So I need to ask you before we close out the show, do you still play trumpet?
No, I don't. No, I
Oh.
don't. I officially put the trumpet away April 9th, 1975.
Okay. All right.
Occasionally, but nothing. The only thing in life I was good at.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us tonight. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone else will enjoy hearing your work as well. Anyone who wants to know more about Michael Beardslee and his book, Bad Hombre, you can check out the show notes. And there's a direct link there to Michael's Facebook page if you'd like to connect with him, and also a link to the book on Amazon. Again, Michael, thank you so much for sharing your story aloud tonight.
Well, thank you for having me, Diana.
Good night.
Good night.